200 years ago, a young woman brought the greatest empire in Asia to its knees. She was a master of Kung Fu and the leader of 60,000 warriors who followed her unquestioningly into battle. Their enemy was the brutal and corrupt Qing dynasty, a dynasty they were determined to overthrow. The fate of China was in one woman's hands. Her name was Wang Song'er.
In modern-day China, Mulan is everywhere. It's a brand name. There are Mulan stamps, a Mulan hotel. There's a Mulan fast food company and Mulan beauty salons.
But there is much debate about whether Mulan ever really existed. For many, the story of Mulan is a legend, which originated around 300 AD. This was a time of war between the Chinese of the Central Plains and the barbarian tribes of the north. These nomadic hordes were attacking Chinese farmers near the border, and every Chinese family was required to send a man into the army. Mulan, the story goes, was determined to save her elderly father from being sent to war. She disguised herself as a man and took his place. She fought with exceptional bravery, rose to the rank of general, and became the greatest leader of her age. Mulan might be a myth, but there is no doubt that the tradition of women warriors is woven into the fabric of Chinese history. The most remarkable of them all was Wang Song'er.
My research shows that up until 1945, there were more than 40 Chinese women who led troops in war. All were remarkable, but Wang Song'er was in the forefront of this select group.
Wang Song'er was born in 1777, at the same time as the American War of Independence. Her father died when she was about 3 years old. Her mother had to raise her daughter alone, wandering from village to village, scraping a living, washing clothes, sewing, and hiring herself out as a domestic servant. It was a hard and brutal existence for both mother and daughter. Dressed in rags, barefoot, often hungry, the young Wang Song'er survived by begging.
Wang Song'er was unlucky enough to be born during an especially harsh period in China's history. She was surrounded by poverty and starvation. The Emperor of China, Qianlong, was corrupt and despotic. Her childhood was dominated by her personal experiences of his brutal rule. Somewhere during this formative time, a warrior spirit rose in this young girl. Not for her the life of a downtrodden peasant. She was destined for greater things.
The era in which Wang Song'er lived was one of feudal rule, which displayed great oppression. The region where she grew up was known as the Old Bashan Forest. Hundreds of thousands of people lost their jobs and their livelihoods and fled to the Bashan Forest to escape their oppressors. They rebuilt their lives and rented land, but here too, corrupt landlords exploited them. They had no money, so they had to borrow at fantastic rates of interest. When they couldn't pay, they were thrown off the land.
Begging meant that Wang Song-er spent a lot of time on the streets. When she was just 7 years old, she persuaded a group of street performers to let her travel with them. She traveled from town to town with the company, earning just enough to feed and clothe herself. She would remain with the troupe another 8 years. Wang Song-er grew into a proud and determined young woman. The troupe was her training academy, where she learned not just circus skills, but also martial arts. She mastered these skills with enthusiasm. As a woman from a poor background, it was essential that she could defend herself. Soon, these skills would save her life. Chinese warriors have always regarded martial arts as the pinnacle of military prowess, and Wang Song-er was now considered an expert.
And the style of fighting she learned is a form of martial arts which is now famous all over the world, Kung Fu.
This discipline is the original martial arts skill. Kung Fu forms the basis of all the Eastern martial arts. Kung Fu weapons are the tools of monks and peasants, simple farm implements. The chain was used by warriors to overcome the efficiency of the sword at close range and to reduce the long-range advantage of a spear or pike. It's a difficult weapon to master, and even the slightest slip can mean injury to its user.
Very slowly.
But Kung Fu is more than just a style of fighting. It's a whole way of being. It's known to have been in China since the late 5th century, spread by Shaolin Buddhist monks.
And let's begin. Give you. Okay. The first one, you look at me. The one is turn on.
I'm being taught one of the sword moves that forms the basis of Kung Fu.
The right.
This discipline has been developed by Chinese warriors for centuries and would have been practiced by Wang Song-er.
Whack.
One. Oh, be perfect. Yeah, good. Relax.
Did you just make that up?
But the Chinese also put great store by the spiritual dimension of martial arts.
The most essential thing about martial art is not practicing physical moves, but the appreciation of classical Chinese philosophy. Martial art is about much more than fitness and self-defense. Its most important value is spiritual and its ability to guide our thinking and behavior.